Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the process of my most recent surreal artwork. If you watched my previous studio vlog, you would have already seen the beginnings of this piece, and now that it's complete, I thought I would talk a bit more about my process, as well as the struggles and lessons that I learned, and there were many. The inspiration for this artwork came from the image that I came across while looking at reference images on Pinterest. The colour and expression in this photo grabbed my attention immediately, and I loved that the colour of her dress reminded me of koi fish and goldfish, and so that's kind of started out this idea. I used it as a focal point and built up a composition around it using a different background and images of kois, and I put them all together in Photoshop. I really like this method of building up reference images in Photoshop because it kind of gives you a chance to move things around and work on the composition without wasting too much time sketching. When thinking about these surrealism style paintings, I like to sort of think about some symbolism and some meaning behind everything that goes into the composition. So it's not just a random picture, it's actually got meaning and sentiment behind it. And so in regards to this painting, because that colour of that dress reminded me of the koi fish and goldfish, I sort of started thinking, okay, what kind of symbolism is in the koi? And because I know that, for example, in Buddhism and Japanese culture, they have a lot of meaning behind them. So I did a bit of research about what that meaning actually is, and I found out that in Japanese culture, the koi fish sort of symbolises strength in adversity, and I found that really interesting as a concept. I built the whole idea and symbolism behind this painting with that idea of perseverance and endurance in the face of adversity as my base idea, because I found that really interesting, and sort of it kind of triggered something in me, I guess, because my own life I've faced quite a bit of struggle and endurance and perseverance in the face of adversity, and so I kind of wanted to represent that, and I wanted this painting to be an uplifting, positive kind of painting and have that feeling of power in it. But also I wanted that mystery and the fantasy of the surrealism to show as well. So once I sort of started digging around and finding this information, I started to build up my composition around that, and that's why the koi fish are in here floating around her, because I wanted them to be, uplifting and positive instead of menacing. And I hope they are. And the reason why I added in some of those cute little ones as well is for that sort of uplifting feeling. Some of the struggles that I encountered. Firstly, I started by painting in the entire background with acrylic because I thought this would help make the painting process a bit easier for me, and I wouldn't have to use as much oil paint later on. But in the end, that didn't really work out because I still ended up repainting pretty much all of it in oil anyway, so I didn't really save any time or any paint at all. And I also ended up making it harder for myself by doing this because I had to repaint certain areas a lot to cover over the background. Because oil paint's obviously transparent, certain areas, especially like the face, for example, and the skin tones, I had to kind of go over them a few times and thicken it up a bit to make the paint not as transparent and so that you couldn't see the background. So the face was the main area where this was a problem, and I was really happy with it, how it looked in the beginning, but then the more I had to cover it up, the less happy I became, and I think I ended up repainting the face about 6 or 7 times in total. I ended up messing up some of the proportions, so then I had to fix it and move things around. So yeah, it was a struggle, but I think I got there in the end. But I sort of found that if the background had been white, even if I just left the figure area white or a grounded colour like yellow ochre or something, I think that process would have made life a lot easier because I wouldn't have had to put quite so many layers of paint on it to cover it. And yeah, so that was one of the struggles I had. Lighting was also a challenge because of all the light from the dress reflecting back on her face. Her skin tones are actually really orange, and so I'd constantly go back and forth between making it too dark and then I made it too light and then I put in too much orange and then I didn't put in enough orange, and so that's contributed to me repainting the face quite a few times. But I am happy with how it turned out in the end. I really enjoyed painting the koi, and I know that technically some of them are goldfish, but I'm pretty sure they all fall under the koi species. And I love those little round ball-shaped goldfish, so I added them in as well, just to help balance out the composition a bit, and because I think they're adorable and chubby and very, very cute, so that's why I added them in. The water was another part that I ended up completely painting over. I could have just left the original acrylic underpainting, but I felt like it didn't really blend in as well with what I had now painted on top of it, and I started adding in some highlights, and then I ended up just repainting it all anyway. So for my next painting, I think I will skip the whole underpainting part and not bother painting everything in acrylic first. I think that I'll just go straight into painting in oil and maybe start with just a ground, so just a flat colour, and see how that goes. For those interested in technical info, I used Art Spectrum oils in the following colours: yellow ochre, naphthol crimson, alizarin crimson, ultramarine, lemon yellow, phthalo blue and titanium white. The colours are a general traditional palette for skin tones, and because I'm used to mixing my own colours from teaching and working with acrylics anyway, I felt quite comfortable working with that limited palette, and I was actually surprised at how versatile. I didn't really need to add in anything else. I think, oh no, actually that's a lie. I think I did add in a little bit of cadmium yellow into the dress to make the highlights a little bit more orange. But that was it. That was the only other colour I used. So I used mostly flat brushes, soft acrylic / oil brushes, and one small round brush to do some of the details. To use the medium liquid to help smooth the oils and to speed up the drying time. Overall, I really enjoyed the slow process of this artwork. Most of my landscape paintings are painted really quickly, and I usually finish them in a day or two. So in comparison, this painting took me about 3 weeks overall. However, there were quite a few days where I wasn't working on it, so the total painting time was probably around, 12 to 18 hours over those 3 weeks. But I found the process of slowing down and taking my time really meditative compared to the normal way that I work. So it was actually good to switch up my normal style of painting, and I really enjoyed the process of it and sort of working out what to do next and sort of having to think and slow everything down and analyse a little bit more and make decisions slower. Usually I work quite instinctively and intuitively and make decisions really quickly in my paintings, so this was a bit more of a slowed down version. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this progress video, and I'm just starting to plan my next piece, which I will start in the next week or so. So if you'd like me to record that process as well, then leave a comment below and let me know. And also don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time.